Hello, welcome to the weather update. It's 10 o'clock, September 20th, 2022. I believe tomorrow is the first day of fall as summer winds down. You can see we start off with sun, but we had a lot of cumulus clouds built in and led to a kind of mostly cloudy afternoon. You can take a look here at the high-resolution satellite. You'll see the same thing here. A lot of clouds built in, especially as we got toward the afternoon. There were even a few showers up in Connecticut. So let's take a look at the current conditions outside right now. And today was a lot drier. It was drier than yesterday, but still kind of warm out there. So let's take a look and see what we got. 72 with a dew point of 57 at Farmingdale. So, yeah, definitely a little bit better, but still somewhat, not the nice crisp weather we have coming. You'll see here we got up into the 80s today here at Farmingdale. You can see there. So let's go take a look. You can see also that the clouds were quite a few clouds as we got toward. I don't know why it was reporting clear here. But we had quite a few clouds as we got toward the afternoon. If we look at Islip here, it's probably a better station to use. You'll see it's 70 degrees, dew point 59, and you can see throughout the day we had the clouds. Probably, like I said, around. Actually, Islip started reporting them around noon. And you can see the dew points were not lower than yesterday, but still, still a little bit of humidity out there. That will definitely be gone by tomorrow. So let's look at the lows and the highs today. We'll start with the lows first. And you'll see 57 at West Hampton, but most of us were in the mid-60s, around 70 in the city, low 60s in the New Jersey Pineland. So the Pine Barrens areas that are less developed cooled off a little more. Let's go look at the highs. And you can see generally low 80s across the area. It looks like some upper 70s on the North Shore. Generally low 80s across the area, so that's still about over 5 degrees above normal for the day. So we have a very active tropical situation, so let's get to it. And we're going to start with, yes, we have another storm now. We have Gaston, but let's first start with Fiona and another area that they're watching that has a 70% chance. So the tropics are really, now it's like somebody just flipped the switch. The tropics were quiet, and now they're just going crazy. So let's take a look at the latest on Hurricane Fiona because it's a monster. Let's go to the public advisory here on Hurricane Fiona. As of 8 p.m., Hurricane Hunter aircraft finds Fiona strengthening. Fiona is still producing strong winds and heavy rains over portions of the Turks and Caicos. So its location is 22.9 north, 71.7 west, about 75 miles north of North Caicos Island, and about 775 miles southwest of Bermuda. Maximum sustained winds are now 125 miles an hour. I believe that's Category 3 now. Present movement north-northwest at 8 miles an hour. Still moving slow, and minimum sun's pressure 951 millibars to 8.08 inches. So Fiona is now a very powerful hurricane. And you can see here on the Fiona will gradually move away tonight and then approach Bermuda on late Thursday. Bermuda is going to be in for a real wallop from this storm. So it is a Category 3 hurricane, and it's still going to be strengthening. Hurricane force winds extend outward up to 35 miles from the center, and tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 150 miles. And let's go now take a look at the chart and, of course, the satellite image. All right. And you can see here, this is going to, they have this thing hitting. Now they have it bending a little more west now. If you're in Nova Scotia, you may have to watch this now. Nova Scotia and Newfoundland may be dealing with a hurricane now. Yeah, it's crazy that it's going to go this far north. It's absolutely nuts. But there you go. And you can see, because it's further west, Bermuda might actually get, it's in a tropical storm watch right now. It's not a hurricane watch yet. But we do have the hurricane warning still in effect for the Turks and Caicos. And you can see major hurricane all the way up there. All right, so pretty impressive. So you want to look at this thing on the satellite, and I want to as well. So let's go and shift this over to Fiona. And, yeah, we're going to have to we'll talk about Gaston, too. But look at Fiona. Look at her go. I'm telling you, look at that storm. That is a perfect hurricane right there. Just a perfect hurricane. Clear, well-defined eye. Really, really nice. You can see the new eye wall there. It keeps going through these eye wall replacement cycles as it continues to strengthen. Really, really impressive hurricane right there. Absolutely amazing and kind of mesmerizing to look at. And we can also look at it on the MODIS as well. There she is. And you can see there she is right there. You can see, though, the eye doesn't look all that clear on this, but again, very strong hurricane. And you can see how far the clouds extend outward. I mean, if you were to place that thing over Florida, it would cover the whole state and then some. All right, so pretty decent sized hurricane. So let's get to the tropical tidbits on Fiona. And here's the tropical tidbits satellite loop, and you can see, look at that thing. You can see it's just barely moving. It's barely moving. It's crawling. So these little islands here are getting lashed by the outer eye wall here of this thing. And you can see, again, look at the convection on the side, too, that is going on. So that's again, very, very impressive to see this storm. And, again, warmer than normal oceans and favorable conditions aloft are very, just energize this storm so much. And if we were to look at you'll see how the spaghetti models now have kind of shifted further west now. So if you're in Newfoundland or Nova Scotia, you may have to worry about getting a hurricane. Yeah, that far up. And look at this. They even take it into Greenland, some of these models. So, yeah, because the waters are way above normal in this area. So it wouldn't surprise me one bit. That's really impressive. And if we look at the strength, you'll see it's going to strengthen up to probably Category 4 and maybe even a 5. Wouldn't even surprise me if it reaches a 5 before finally at the about 3 days from now starting to gradually weaken. Once it passes Bermuda, I guess, after Thursday or Friday, we'd see some slow, gradual weakening. But still, look at all these models that hold on to the strength. It's quite incredible. Oh, but we're not done yet. So that's Fiona. Now we got to talk about Gaston. That's the next one that just formed. Now, I think this one is going to be out in the middle of the ocean, and yeah, it's not going to be really a threat to anyone, except maybe these little islands here. What are those? The Azores here. So you can see the track here. We'll talk about Gaston here. So we'll go to the statement on Gaston. Let's see, for public advisory on Gaston. So depression strengthens into tropical storm Gaston as of 9 p.m. Location 34.7 north, 44.4 west, about 990 miles west of the Azores. Maximum sustained winds are 40 miles an hour. Moving north-northeast at 17 miles an hour. Minimum central pressure 1009 millibars, 289.80 inches. So it's basically something I'm not going to spend much time with because it's out in the middle of the ocean. It's not going to really be a concern. This one, on the other hand, we're going to have to watch. This is disturbance 1. 70% chance. This is the next wave, and it could be, we're going to have to watch and see what this thing does here, all right? Now, they don't really have you can see this is the chart here. This is what it looks like on the satellite. We'll have to watch this one closely. That could wind up in the Gulf, perhaps, all right? Some of the models have picked up on that as well. So, let's go to the models now, and we will go and take a look and see what, and by the way, this is the GFS ensembles for Fiona as well. All right, so luckily it's not going to hit. Thank God it's not hitting for us, but we're still going to feel the effects at the beaches for sure, I think. So let's go take a look at models, and you'll see here. Here's Fiona. All right, so we're going to go to the eastern seaboard run here of this. So I'll get to show you a little more about how Fiona is going to track here and what's going to happen with our weather. So you can see weak high pressure builds in tomorrow. There's Fiona continuing to strengthen, and luckily we have this trough come and pick it up. See, it looks like it goes just to now it goes west of Bermuda, all right? And you can see for us, we have high pressure building in after threat of some showers and thunderstorms to cold front on Thursday, and we're going to have some nice weather for Friday and Saturday. But Fiona, look at that. It hammers, Nova Scotia. That's incredible right there. So we will definitely have to talk about that and take a look at this. So we're going to, let's see if we can go to an eastern seaboard tropics. I mean, they have North Atlantic, but they have tropical Atlantic, but that's not what we want. Wish they'd have the kind of view I wanted to show you here, but let's see if we can switch this. Let's see if we can take a look at this Canada here. This we have Northeast U.S., but I'd like to see if they have a region for Canada, Southeast Canada. All right, so here we go. So this is what I want to show you. This is incredible. So look at this thing. If this hits Nova Scotia, this is going to be very... a storm like this would probably knock out power to the whole island. I mean, look at how tight those isobars. 928 millibar low right there. So if we look at the winds here around this thing, look at the winds around this thing. We're talking over 100 miles an hour is kind of wind. So if it can happen to them, it could certainly happen to us. And this is really going to be a very destructive storm if it winds up hitting in this area like this at this point, because you're going to have massive storm surge, lots of rain, and very, very strong winds. And it's going to be really something to see. And this would be hitting Friday night into Saturday into, looks like now it's aiming a little more toward Nova Scotia, perhaps Halifax, and then it continues on. So it'll weaken once it hits land, but boy, that is going to be a massive. This is going to landfall as a hurricane, and I don't know how many hurricanes have hit Nova Scotia, but I'll tell you, it's not very common to see this. And if we look at the amount of rainfall it would dump here, total accumulated precip, you would see here tremendous amounts of rain too. We're talking lots and lots of rain as well. But this would be a very destructive storm, and the waves, of course, as well. If we were to look at the wave height. I don't know if this does it. No, it doesn't have wave height on here, I guess. But we will look a few more models and see what's going to happen with this. But let's go to our region now and focus on our weather. All right. So go to the HRRR, and we'll go to the 0Z HRRR, and we will look at our precipitation outlook as we head into tomorrow. And you'll see it'll be a dry day, plenty of sunshine. But here comes that cold front for Thursday. All right, and this will bring, it looks like there's a couple of chances, there's a little chance, this might be like a little bit of a warm front type of situation overnight, Wednesday night, and then like around midnight, and then the front itself comes through in the mid to early afternoon. And there could be some showers and thunderstorms with that, and I see a bit of a V there. So now some of them could be severe, and maybe bring some good amounts of rain with them, maybe. Maybe. Don't get your hopes up, of course. Total accumulated precip, yeah, it's not very impressive. You see, maybe you get lucky if you get a half an inch. Maybe. And once that's done, the cool air comes in. So let's go take a look at our dew points and wind flow here. And as we go into tomorrow, you'll see we start off with the north winds. Still, moderate dew points, mid-50s. But as the winds shift to the south, we start seeing the humidity come up, especially in the evening. And for that first part of Thursday, it will be a little humid there with southwest winds pretty strong. And then the front comes through right around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and then the dew points start and the temperatures start dropping. So let's now look at the temperature chart. So here we go into your Wednesday, and you'll see it'll be warm, so probably have highs around 80 degrees, low 80s again, with sea breezes, so it'll be a little cooler in the afternoon, especially on the south shore than today. And as far as tonight goes, it'll probably have lows, probably cooling off to around 60. And then as we get into Thursday, you get a little bit of warmth in the morning there with high temperatures, maybe trying to make a run at 80, and then the front comes through, and those temperatures are down into the 60s before the sun sets, and then we're going into the 50s past that. So if we look at the GFS here, you will see, we look at the dew points and wind flow. Again, we'll show you that we have that northwest wind and very strong northwesterly winds, and the pressure gradient between the high and Fiona will probably kick these winds up quite a bit. We're going to have to maybe worry about, if we don't get much rain, brush fires perhaps with these winds. And then it starts calming down as we get to Saturday, a little less wind, but still pretty strong northwest wind, offshore winds. We stick with the north shore offshore winds, and then maybe by Sunday we start seeing the winds shift a little more to the southwest. As far as I'm going to go with that. But with that northwest wind flow, it's going to keep the cool air in place. And let me tell you, when you wake up Friday morning, we may be in the 40s, and we may have trouble, depending on where you are. As Long Island a little cooler, Long Island may only be in the low 60s for highs. New Jersey may be a little warmer with mid-60s, but that's it. It's going to be very cool. And then at night, we'll have 40s. And I finally think with that wind blowing, that damn alley will cool off, that I can finally shut off the air conditioner. And then for Saturday, highs will be in the upper 60s, but still very cool and comfortable. And then we see that warm up again on Sunday with the southwesterly winds come into place. So let's go look at the skies. And here we go with the skies. So here we are tomorrow, plenty of sunshine, and hopefully not as many clouds as we saw today. Thursday, obviously, we'll have the clouds, and Friday, we should be mostly sunny, maybe some fair weather cumulus. It does seem to stick some clouds over the east end there a little bit, but if you're west of the city, especially in New Jersey, I think you should have mostly sunny conditions. And then as we get into Saturday, you'll start seeing some of that cirrus build in. So let's a little bit of it. RGEM. Let's go to that one. Look at the skies on the RGM here. And then I want to look at some more models when it comes to this hurricane here. So here we are for tomorrow, and you'll see maybe it looks like it's mostly sunny tomorrow. Maybe very scattered mid-level. Maybe if you're in Jersey, you'll start to see some cirrus and mid-level clouds. Long Island a little later in the afternoon for that. And then for Thursday, we'll be seeing more clouds. And then maybe a little bit of sun before it sets. And then Friday, we should be mostly sunny, though we will have to watch for some of those cumulus, again, with that low-level instability just because of the steep lapse rates, because of this really cold air that's going to be coming down. And it's going to be quite refreshing. But let's now get back to Fiona, and I want to look at a couple of models with this. Let's first go to the windy.com model, because this way it'll allow us to kind of show Fiona here. All right, this is the European on Fiona. All right, so let's put this into wind gusts because this works better that way. So you get an idea of how this thing just continues to strengthen and strengthen and strengthen as it moves. And this is the European. All right, so you can see here it goes. You see it looks like Bermuda is going to be brushed by it. All right. And, yeah, look at this. So this is what I'm kind of worried about here. This is Nova Scotia here. All right. And you can see here this is Saturday, early Saturday morning. Winds offshore are going to be over 100 miles an hour. And some of that could be getting in you can see the eye kind of going right in this area right here. And that would really, the west end of the island probably avoids the worst part, but the east end would get hammered by this. And this kind of storm, would cause a tremendous amount of power outages and damage in this area. And you can see it's not moving all that quickly. It's not in a rush to get anywhere. Now, if we look at the GFS, now the Euro is stronger than the GFS. All right, this is the GFS. All right, so the GFS here, Saturday morning here, we're talking 108 on the right side. So yeah, that could be the eye is going to go right over here. This is going to be devastating for Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick too is going to get in onto this too. So we're going to have to see exactly where this goes. You can see, look at it, barely moves. So it's not going to be moving all that fast. Here we are, 4 p.m. Still, very unusual to see such a slow-moving storm. That's going to dump a lot of rain. The wind is going to cause a lot of damage. And we haven't even gotten to the waves part of it yet. So let's back this up to today. Again, we're going to look at Fiona here. All right. And we'll go just to the regular wind here. And I'm going to put this back to the European model, because I think it looks the best, just to show you how this is going to strengthen here, right? So you can see, look at that perfect symmetry there, all right? And it's going to pick up power. Here we go. Thursday. This thing's probably going to reach its apex of strength on Thursday, probably. And you can see there, apex of strength. Let me put this right in the white area here, where it's going to probably be a Category 4. It's going to actually, this is why I don't like using I like using the wind gusts, because it underestimates when you're just using the wind mode of it. But you can see, look at this. It looks like it would miss Bermuda. The worst part of it, but Hamilton is over here. So it looks like the worst part of it would miss Bermuda. All right. But it actually continues to gain strength. This is the European now. As it zeroes in on, there we go. Look at that. It's actually going to gain strength because the waters are warm all the way up there. So it's going to gain strength and then slam. This could be one of the worst disasters to ever hit Nova Scotia if this were to pan out. And like I said, this looks, again, this is all climate change driven with those warmer than normal ocean waters and weak jet streams and steering currents. The storm doesn't move fast. And that's what makes it so scary. So when we look at the waves here and the effects that it's going to cause on the ocean, here we are Wednesday. You don't see too much happening, but then as we get into Thursday, you start seeing those effects spread out more and more. And you can see near the center of the storm, you're dealing with nearly 50-foot waves here, and it's only going to get worse. Brushes by, we're going to start feeling the effects probably Friday here on Long Island at our shores. And we're going to see those waves really pick up. Very rough surf on Friday, probably very rough at the beaches. And you can see here it is heading, and again, in the core of it, you got waves approaching 50 feet. And then as it zeroes in on Nova Scotia, all right, so we're going to be dealing with rough surf all weekend long. Look at this. So Nova Scotia, you're going to have literally waves approaching 50 feet crashing on shore. Now, luckily, they have, I think Nova Scotia and New Brunswick have steep mountainous coastlines. Hopefully, it'll block the way. But I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of storm surge. So you're talking about a historic disaster for maritime Canada that we're looking at from Fiona. And that is the next, I think, that's Fiona's next major target. And we're going to have to be very concerned about it, indeed. And it's just remarkable to see this. Of course, I hope this doesn't pan out. We are just looking at models, but certainly when we go to look at earthnullschool.net here, you'll see you have all those above normal ocean temperatures to back it all up. We look at sea surface temperatures anomalies, particularly in the Nova Scotia area. You see all those bright oranges. That's water that's 5 degrees Celsius or 9 degrees Fahrenheit above what it's supposed to be. So that's all energy for the storm, and it's got warm water all the way up there. All right, so it's got nothing but gasoline to keep this thing, keep this engine accelerating, and that's what we're going to see as it continues to get worse. Now, the Ventus Sky is another site we could use as well to watch this, and we can move this over to the Saturday. All right. Friday. We'll look at Friday here, right? And you can see here. Here is again the storm right here. See it right here. So you can look at the wind speed around it again. And this is the what model are we looking at? The ICON model. All right. So you can see the wind speed around it there, and you can see as it zeroes in. Let me get this over here. You can see it's zeroing in on Nova Scotia. So we are Saturday. At least this model, the ICON, seems to make it move a little faster. Well, a little bit. Well, yeah, it has it move. It gets there a little later, but it moves faster. This is the ICON model. It's still pretty frightening. This is the ICON model. It's not as bad as some of the other models. I changed it to the GFS. It's going to be a lot worse. The GFS is further west, too, and you can see it barely moves it, too. Look at that, 5 a.m., 2 a.m., so it's going to lash... it's going to lash Halifax and particularly Nova Scotia very bad, the eastern part of Nova Scotia. If this pans out, this is going to be a historic natural disaster that Nova Scotia is going to have to deal with. And, it could have been us. If the setup was right, we could have had this. And imagine if you move this over Long Island, a disaster. This would be a disaster not over Long Island, not just Long Island, but Connecticut, Long Island, New Jersey, the whole Northeast. You'd want to just get the hell out of the Northeast if this thing was coming. Because this is a monster, and she is not done yet. She wreaked havoc on Puerto Rico as just a Category 1 hurricane. She's going to be a lot stronger when she gets to Nova Scotia. So we're going to have to keep our eyes on this anyway. We hope this doesn't happen. But right now, if you are in Nova Scotia, coastal Canada, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, prepare for a major natural disaster. The possibility of it, because we could see, and again, if I put wind gusts in here, it gets even worse. So over 100 mile an hour there into Nova Scotia. This would be a major natural disaster in this area. And with a storm like this, talking about island-wide blackout in Puerto Rico, the infrastructure for the power in Nova Scotia would probably be crippled. And they would probably have an island-wide blackout as well with a storm like this. So we'll keep an eye on this. But again, you have till probably Friday before things start going downhill in Nova Scotia at this rate. Luckily for us, this monster stays away from us. Thank God it does. But you can see how it gets bigger as it moves further north too. You can sort of see that. I like using these different models because it kind of shows graphically. It looks a little nicer than tidbits, a little easier to understand, I guess you could say. But again, if we were to go back to tidbits, which we will do, it is going to be major. We can go to the hurricane models here right now, and there's actually the HWRF. All right, so we can look at Fiona here on the HWRF, and you can see this kind of follows it as it moves along. So you can see how it follows it and moves along. Look at how it holds on to its strength. Here we are Friday, still holding on to its strength, and there. Here we are Saturday, and there it is starting to approach Nova Scotia right there. As a major hurricane. All right, if we look at the winds, this is the HWRF. So this is another model we can look at here. If we look at the winds, again, look at those winds. That's incredible. All right. That's incredible. This goes by in knots, but anything in purple, especially the bright purple, that's nearly 100 miles an hour. And that's just the HWRF. So if we can look at the GFS hurricane model on Fiona. You can see it just holds on to its strength because it's got all that warm water. So yeah, major natural disaster likely for Nova Scotia or New Brunswick, depending on what happens with this track. It trends further west, more toward Halifax. Halifax could be in a world of hurt and could be a major disaster zone by this weekend. So we'll have to see what happens. But this is definitely a monster to watch. So that's going to wrap up this weather update. Thank you for watching and have a good night.